So that vegan teacher finally said the quiet part out loud, something we've all been waiting for her to finally come out and express how she really feels about non-vegans. And it is that she honestly believes that non-vegans should be exterminated. Now, she didn't say this verbatim, but she put up a poll that literally asked the question, if people that eat animals, right, she, described in a more graphic way as she always does, if they should be executed and killed like Charlie Kirk was. Yeah, she really said that. And you know what's bizarre? She gave two options, one of them being to agree, the other to not agree, obviously. And there's a shocking amount of people who agreed with her. Yeah, that tells you a lot about the vegan community that supports vegan teacher, doesn't it? And let me emphasize again, the vegan community that supports vegan teachers specifically, and people like her. Yeah, I guess they believe that non-vegans should be executed. Isn't that just wonderful? That's the kind of radical, ridiculous, completely out of touch of reality lunatics that follow someone like her. But I'm sure none of you are surprised. Like I said, all she's done here is said the quiet part out loud. We already knew this. And I'll go ahead and show you the poll right now before we get into the rest of the video topics. So here you go. Should people who lack empathy for the victims and deliberately hurt animals or pay for it to be done over and over when they don't have to be executed by the state the way Charlie Kirk was, painlessly by one simple bullet? Explain your answers below. 16% of people voted yes. People who lack empathy do not deserve to live among us. No, because I eat animals and I'm a selfish hypocrite. I know some of you were like, she didn't say anything about eating animals, but once you saw the second answer, you understood. When she says those statements, if you've been watching any of her bullshit content for long enough, you know damn well she's not talking about people who deliberately go out there and hurt animals. She literally just means anybody that goes to the grocery store and buys a rack of ribs, cooks it, and eats it. You are also in that category. So she thinks you, who innocently eats chicken tenders for lunch today, deserves to be executed and shot. And so do 16% of the people that voted on this poll. And that's roughly 100 people that agree with her. Isn't that just downright disgusting? Anyway, this isn't the end of this. This isn't the end of this disgusting nonsense. She's still using Charlie Kirk's name to garner as much attention to her veganism bullshit as she possibly can. Now, I'll once again emphasize, I'm not somebody who's ever agreed with Charlie Kirk or liked his political views, etc., but firmly believe that he should not have been assassinated for speaking, even if what came out of his mouth was distasteful. And so even with some of these things that she says, pointing out things that he's done that I don't agree with, she tries to spin this in some way of putting blame on his death or the consequences of his death on him not being vegan, because she believes, oh, he's going to hell, not for anything else that he's done or anything like that. No, for not being vegan.
Someone is kicking a dog. You have three choices. Kick the dog, walk away and say nothing, or tell them to stop. People who eat animals, they wouldn't care. They eat animals. So kicking a dog, it's just no different. You're paying somebody to do the violence, you do it yourself, it's all the same. Now, vegan, you might think would do something, but not necessarily, because look at their lives. A lot of them are in the closet. A lot of them don't even tell people that they're vegan. So now do you understand? Being vegan is not good enough. So do something!
I'm still at the point where I just can't believe that she's actually this stupid. It's baffling, I've seen a lot of dumb people, trust me, I've seen a lot of dumb people. But Vegan Teach Her is one of those that just absolutely takes the vegan cake and runs away with that bitch, never to be seen again. It is almost difficult to compete with the lack of social and, well, just regular intelligence that she has. In this case, she really thinks that because somebody chows down on a piece of deep fried chicken or something like that, that they wouldn't lift a hand to help a dog, because why would they? They eat animals. They don't care about animals. They abuse animals, right? That's the logic. No, not quite, actually. In fact, some of the most compassionate people towards animals, they're not vegan. In fact, they might be vegetarian, some of them, but many of them, in fact, eat meat. Those are people that work at veterinary clinics, that work at sanctuaries, that fund sanctuaries, build them. They do so much. They volunteer. They actually impact animals' lives in a positive way. And then, yes, they go home and they have a rack of ribs that night. And that's okay, because they're also in tune with reality, knowing damn well that us human beings are omnivores and consuming meat is something that you gotta do to be nice, firm, and healthy. Obviously, you look at vegan teacher, she looks about as brittle as a twig ready to break in half. She always goes around claiming, look how healthy I am. Where? Where? I don't see it, actually. Is it somewhere between the overly protruding neck wrinkles or the bones ready to pop out of your skin? I don't know. Show me where healthy is in between those two things, because I'm just not seeing it, you know? But honestly, I sound mean, but that's okay. Because the truth is, what she is doing, attacking people, saying that they deserve to be exterminated because they're not vegan, is about a million times worse than anything I've ever said. Let's be honest. Vegan teacher is not a beacon of health. If she wants to be some sort of advocate for veganism, well, she should look like a goddamn Greek goddess, because nobody is selling this looking like Skeletor. It's just not happening. When holding up a picture of a Minecraft skeleton and vegan teacher, knowing that a 10-year-old might have a difficult time discerning the two, you have a problem. It's just so embarrassing for her to go around telling people that eating meat is unnecessary when she looks like she has a foot in the grave already at her age, but then trying to preach to people that they can be healthy like her. No. Most people want to look 60 when they're 60, not 95. So I think we'll pass on that. Now back to the actual topic here. It's so disingenuous to act like only the vegans who are loudmouth crybaby dumbasses like you are the only people in the world that actually care about animals. You are literally proving to everyone that that's not the case. You would want to encourage the person to step in and do something, not try to call them out on hypocrisy. You would want them to save and rescue that animal if you truly cared about them. But you don't, because instead of being like, everybody should do option one and help the animals, you just say, no, sorry, unless you're like me, you just don't care, you're not going to do anything. Wow, that really helps real animals who are being abused or mistreated. What a great message you're delivering to your vegan audience and to the people hate watching you. And also, why are these the only 3 choices? Why isn't like football tackling the person and like apprehending them while you call the police or something an option? I mean, I think there's a handful of people who would also like that. In fact, there's somebody coming up who said something similar. But we'll see what she has to say about that.
You're all mixed up, you're all mixed up, you really didn't understand the lesson. You're all mixed up, you're all mixed up, you failed the lesson. You failed. Do you know why? Think. We were talking about somebody who was kicking a dog, and yes, of course, you should stop the person from kicking the dog, but you missed the point. The point is that it's irrelevant whether somebody's kicking a dog or a cat or a pig or a chicken or a turkey or a lamb. And if you are going to stop somebody from kicking the dog, but then go home and eat a burger that's not vegan, then you have just paid somebody to kill an animal. So you've done nothing. You understand? Do you see how hypocritical that is?
No, because that actually doesn't make any goddamn sense. I'm gonna break this down for you. I know you're not much of a math person, but I'm gonna keep it real simple for you. This is how math works. So if you were gonna go home and eat a burger, regardless of saving an animal or not, and if you see going home and eating animals a negative thing, right? You do end up with a neutral, right? If these things are weighed equal, you save the dog, you eat an animal, one's a negative, it's a -1, the other one's a +1, you end up with a net 0, right? But isn't a net 0 better than a net negative? You see what I'm getting at? Like, imagine if this was money, right? If you were planning to buy yourself that burger, right? It was $5 or something. And somebody on the street was like, hey dude, here's $5. And they gave you $5 and it paid for your burger. You basically got the burger for free, which is a good thing, right? It's a good thing for you. You're not -$5, you're -0, nothing. You're not up anything, you're not down anything. It's still better than being negative. So, by her logic, she would rather, if you're not a vegan, she thinks it's equivalent if you don't help that dog and then still go home and eat a burger or whatever. Like, it's the same thing as if you did help the dog and went and ate a burger. So, is this really about helping the animals? Because it would seem like you would want the person on the avenue of helping the animal and actually be able to acknowledge that that is more positive. Even if it's neutral, it's more positive than the negative. But I guess her stupid little brain doesn't work that way. Probably somewhere between year 4 and 5, that cognitive function must have failed.
So let's repeat, okay? Veganism is about ending the violence towards animals. It's about not utilizing them, not commodifying them, not enslaving them.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck, but like, keep trying, I guess.
Parents should be vegan. Absolutely right. I mean, why wouldn't they be? Because you're either vegan or you're an animal abuser, right? So if you're not vegan, then you're not a very good parent. Kind of mean, actually.
Yeah, you tell that to your kids that don't talk to you anymore and see what they have to say about that. Maybe that mom's not that great of a parent because they excommunicated you from their lives because you were such a toxic wrench, a leech on their lives. But, you know, just saying, if she wants to go and judge parenting, maybe she needs to look inward first and understand something. Now, let's be real. I've talked about like vegan kids, parents forcing their kids to be vegan, and I've demonstrated many times why that is a terrible thing. Not a single licensed dietitian in the world will tell you that is a good idea. In fact, they would advise you against it. The only ones that would are biased vegans who don't have kids themselves. Anyway, there's a long list of reasons why kids shouldn't be raised vegan that I'm not going to go into right now. I've talked about it before. I'll probably talk about it again in the future. But let's be real. As a parent, if you do force your kids to be vegan and you're vegan yourself, I mean, you being vegan yourself is whatever, but if you're then forcing your kids to be vegan, you are problematic. And vegan teacher is definitely not a good example of a good vegan parent because when's the last time your kids called?
Charlie Kirk was a jerk. He didn't treat animals very well. Charlie Kirk is not in heaven. Charlie Kirk is in hell. That's right, boys and girls. Because he paid people to stab animals in the throat and to cut off their heads. That's right. That wasn't a very nice thing to do. Charlie Kirk paid people to kidnap baby cows from their moms and to steal the milk that belongs to those babies. That wasn't very nice. Charlie Kirk was a bully. He should have been kind, but he wasn't. Charlie Kirk should have told all of the people that he talked to strive to be as vegan as possible. Do your best. Buy lentils instead of paying somebody to cut the head off a lamb. Eat healthy vegan foods. Check out all the delicious vegan recipes. But that's not what Charlie did, is it? Charlie Kirk, he was a jerk. He's not in heaven. He's in hell because he broke the commandments. 2 important commandments, and he considered himself to be a Christian. 2 important commandments: thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. And that means be vegan at every meal. Poor Charlie. He didn't deserve to be shot. But he does deserve to be in hell because he wasn't kind while he was alive.
All right, before I say this next thing, let me preface something. I can't stand people who unjustly bully others, who target others, who say horrible things about other people, who harass other people. I mean, I'm basically describing being a teacher here, I know. But I mean that very generally, you know? So when I talk about people on any of my channels, my main channel, this channel, whatever channel, I only go in on people who absolutely deserve it. And anybody watching this far into this video knows that vegan teacher absolutely deserves it. And now that I've given you that disclaimer, I'm about to say something mean. Because she's made her entire life, this is her whole life's work. She gave up her family for this. She literally gave up her like 3 kids, you know, the whole life that she had in Canada for this pursuit of turning the world vegan, this delusion, you know? She gave it all up for that and has done nothing but fail and actually destroy the vegan movement almost single-handedly. She is the reason that when people hear the word vegan, they scoff, they frown. I mean, I'm not saying that's a good thing because the truth is most vegans aren't like her, I'd say. Most vegans are not perpetually online psycho lunatics that spend most of their time on Reddit crying and complaining that other people aren't like them. Most of them are normal people, and you don't hear about them because they don't have anything to say to you. They're not like these people. They're vegan for their own personal reasons, and that's that. And it has nothing to do with you or nothing to do with other people's beliefs. It's just their own. But vegan teacher, on the other hand, who has made this her entire identity, what always brings joy to my face every time I see these videos of her berating people and saying the same thing over and over again, calling you an abuser and just trying every trick in the book to convert people is that when the time of vegan teacher has come to an end, whether she gets banned or she gives up or stops posting or gets too sick or something like that to keep making content, we'll all know that she failed. And that puts a massive smile on my face. And what's even better than that is she'll know that she failed. And that is the greatest victory of all. Because the thing is that some people might understand, unless you've watched many of my videos, is I do actually go into like the actual like health related nutrition things, etc., of why veganism doesn't work for most people. It works for some, not for others. Everybody's body's different. I've spoken to actual dietitians about this sort of shit, and no one's body is a copy of anyone else's. What works for me might not work for you, period. And generally it probably won't. Some people need more of this than others need of that. You get what I'm saying? And the truth is, veganism is an incomplete diet. Like, vegan diets are incomplete, and most people will not thrive without the proper nutrients that they would otherwise get on either a vegetarian or a pescatarian or a regular omnivorous diet. And I've talked in great detail about what type of nutrients are basically not available or some people can't get from a vegan diet, which is a fact, proven, verifiable, research backed up concept that they can't argue with. And I always use this one example because it's literally the most concrete. You actually can't even try to argue it. And it's the fact that you can't get actual vitamin A from a vegan diet. It's literally impossible. Most people go to B12, but we're not going to talk about that. But vitamin A, that's the real one that's impossible. And that one's for like your eye health, along with many other things, cognitive related things. And the reason for that is it doesn't exist in plants. What does exist is a beta carotene, which then your body converts to vitamin A that you can use. But well over 50% of people have some sort of difficulty with converting beta carotene to vitamin A. Some people can't convert it at all. Some people can only convert a very small amount of it. And it's something that's extremely difficult to trace. But the truth is, there are people that go nearly blind on a vegan diet because their body has zero vitamin A in their system. And that's just one of many nutritional complications with vegan diets. So when they go out and try to preach to you and lie to you and say that you're a horrible person and try to guilt trip you, this works on children. That's the problem. It works on people under the age of like 20, who don't fully have their frontal lobes develop. And it works on them a lot of the time. I've seen kids in her audience like, I'm vegan because of you. They guilt trip these vulnerable kids, and they do it so mercilessly because they refuse to acknowledge the fact that they were actually genuinely doing harm to these kids. And sometimes this harm is irreversible. So when I get on here and I bash, these vegan activists and stuff, it's not just to make fun of them. I really don't give a shit about them, but it is for the fact that their bullshit needs to be shut down because there are vulnerable people watching their stuff, listening to them, converting, and then damaging their own bodies and their own lives or their own futures because of some evil witch like that vegan teacher told them that if they don't, they're an animal abuser and support the animal homicide, the animal holocaust. Telling people that they pay for rape and torture and murder and all these things, and a child hears that, they, oh no, I'm such a bad person, and it ruins things. Like, it's literally damaging and harmful. So somebody has to come here and put the kibosh on it. And so every time I come across this type of BS, like, I'm going to expose it, I'm going to counter it every time. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time.